public hearing. The hearing committee of the East Haven Town Council will hold certain public hearings Tuesday, January 6, 2026 at 7 p.m. at the East Haven Community Center, 91 Taylor Avenue, East Haven, for the purpose of holding the public hearings on the following items. Roll call, please.
Ann Pennington. Here. Mariano Santiago.
Here.
Alphonse Cameron.
Here.
Joseph Deco. Kevin Martin. Here. Joseph Santino. Mary Ann Caesar. Here. Louis Pacelli.
Here.
Joseph Picali. Michael Giannetti.
Here.
Tina Headley. Richard Esposito.
Here.
Albert Milano.
Here.
Guy Benanti.
Here.
Joseph Dickinson.
Here.
12 present, and quorum.
Okay, thanks, Bert. Public hearing number 1.
To consider and act upon an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Making Appropriations for Various Public Improvements Aggregating $1,520,191 for the 22-23 capital budget and authorizing the issuance of $1,520,191 bonds of the town to meet said appropriations and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose."
So we will go to the public first. Is anybody from the public would like to speak on this? Please come forward. Please state your name and address. And the mic is off, so just press the button and we'll turn it right on.
Don't know where it goes, 6-7 times drive, and I don't need it.
And it's 3 minutes.
So I have a few questions.
This is not a question and answer period.
This bond was approved in July 21. Why do we have to re-approve the ordinance?
You have 3 minutes.
I'm asking you a question.
We do not
I
answer.
expect to have an answer at the town council.
So we get 3 minutes. You can make your statement.
And in our discussion,
Why was this bond approved and now has to be re-approved? Is there an issue with municipal reporting? How much have you already temporarily bonded against this bond? No answer from a council who's supposed to represent the people of this town. I'll do that. For everyone.
unless there's anyone else, Barb can come up and speak to you.
Anybody else from the public want to speak? Anybody else from the public want to speak? Anybody else from the public would like to speak? The finance director, please come forward. Good evening, welcome.
Thank you.
Is it working? Yes, we're on.
Okay, it's late. Okay, my name is Barbara Ann.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi. So we are filing ordinance in the amount of $1,520,191. Does not exceed the 15% of the statutory debt limit of the town. Does not need to be referred to the town as referendum provided in Chapter 7, Section 8 of the town charter. So overall, requesting the town council approve the ordinance. This has not been sent for bonding. We have cash reserves, so we have spent money on these projects. It's customary for the town who's dealing to quite often spend money and then bond later.
That's been the history of how a number of municipalities do it. So the only thing that you're doing is authorizing the ability to bond, allowing the administration to move the bond. The short term, you've seen the term, I sent you a memo on the short term borrowing. What you're allowed to do in public finance is to borrow short term up to a year, because the financing the financing of bonds takes a significant period of time. So you borrow, if you have to, you borrow short term, and you pay it back once the bond authorization is issued. So that's all it is. It's a very common practice. So this, we're dealing with the public hearing number 1 deals with 22-23, correct?
Yes.
So all you're authorizing is the ability to go out to bond if necessary. And it's quite often in municipalities that you pay out of your cash reserves for these projects and then bond later. It makes no sense for the town of East Haven to bond in 2021 when our bond rating is as strong as it's been in 15 years right now. So that was a decision made by Mr. Keeley, obviously followed through by bond counsel and by our bond consultants. So that's why we're here now, as opposed to 2020 or 2021, because our S&P rating has gotten much stronger through the years. So our bond rating is the strongest it's been in 15 years as we see it today.
No short-term financing was done on any of these.
Yeah.
So this is going to be the same explanation for 1, 2, and 3.
There's a misnomer, and in these discussions, you answer some of the questions. 2021, we're not even talking about at this point, but we will. The short-term borrowing is only done if you need the cash, and then you are going to bond. You don't borrow short-term, and we have an accountant sitting here. You don't borrow short-term, it's only good for a year. You have, or it comes due, you pay back, and you pay penalties. So there's been no short-term borrowing on any of this. Obviously, we couldn't. We would have been punished a great deal in a number of penalties. So that's a good point. So thank you.
Any questions from the council? Okay, thanks, Mark. Okay, we're going to move to public hearing number 2.
To consider and act upon the ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Making Appropriations for Various Public Improvements Aggregating $3,330,321 for the 2023-24 capital budget and authorizing the issuance of $3,330,321 bonds of the town to meet said appropriations and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose."
Anyone from the public like to speak? State your name and address, please. Yes.
Dominic 67 John Drive.
Thank you.
So the $4 million that you've been bonding over the last 5 years is actually from a previous bond authorization prior to the current administration, correct? No. So you have no short-term go bonds for any of these already approved authorizations to spend $21 million. What is the current long-term debt of this town? I'm calculating it probably around 55. No, more, less? Snicker, snicker? In 5 years, you've almost doubled our debt. I do have 3 minutes. So this bond, which was also, this ordinance for an appropriation for a bond, was previously approved by this council. Why do you find the need to go back and get it reapproved? What is the real issue? The fact that you can sit there and not answer a simple question is amazing, and it leads to the real issues in this town. How much more time?
You have 1 minute and 22
Wonderful.
seconds.
Raising taxes on homeowners, on taxpayers, is the issue. It needs to stop. To give you carte blanche to spend $21 million with the approval of these ordinances
1 minute.
for bonding goes against any sound financial benefit. Everyone.
Would anybody else from the public like to speak? Anybody else from the public like to speak? Anybody else from the public like to speak? Please state your name and address. You have 3 minutes.
Are we on number 1 right now?
We're on number 2, public hearing 2. You have 3 minutes.
as a
Your name and address, please.
Lorena Venegas, 73 George Street.
Thank you.
I am a lifelong resident here. I am a homeowner, and I have children. What you're doing tonight, you're creating debt for my children who are going to inherit my land. And I disagree with everything that's on this notice and here. As a town, you have failed to have Board of Finance meetings for several months. I need a true itemization of each of these expenses because I want to see every single account number. I want to cross-check it with every single prior audit. I want to make sure that the ARPA funds, what happened to them? Jen Keeley left. We have no Board of Finance meetings. We have no reconciliation of June 2025. We have no 2024-25 audit. Last year, you were late with the audit again to the state OPM office. Michael Luzzi, that Texas account, you never explained it. You were the only person who has a signature for money that was moved. And this is another hearing, I'll come back and talk about it. That $13.5 million had your name and one signature. You never explained it. And now you want us to bond for that. For months, you talked about self-insurance. Something's not right here. Somebody's lying. Somebody's cheating our town. Money's missing. I know because I have a lot of the ARPA accountability records related to the town green. And I'm the only resident who has all that. Nobody else has that.
I just want to say on the record.
No, do not speak right now. Do not speak, I'm speaking I only have 3 minutes.
I want to be clear, so.
I have only 3 minutes.
You have 1 minute, 2
No.
seconds.
I have, add his other 30 seconds for
Okay,
interrupting
we'll give
me.
you another 20 seconds. Go ahead.
I'm not gonna stand for any vulgarities from any town employee. As a resident, I deserve to go to any public meeting and to request from Barbara any information. And from request from you any information. But none of you have provided any information. We need to see the itemization. It's $21,725,846. That's over 1/5 of our annual budget. It needs a true explanation. And why are there people missing here? Why is Joe Deco not here? He didn't pay his real estate tax. What's he gonna contribute to the bonding debt?
You have 20 seconds.
A lot of you didn't reproduce. I don't know what happened to your sperm count, but you don't have children. So you're not impacted.
I'm not going to stand for vulgarity. This is a
Hey,
public hearing.
it's two-way. You don't have children, so that if you don't have children or grandchildren, or your own children are not coming back to town, then they're not gonna be reinvesting in the debts. The debts are gonna be
Time
ours
is
to own.
up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public like to speak, please? Anybody else from the public like to speak? Anybody else from the public like to speak? I'll turn it over to the council members. Anybody have anything they want to add?
So Lou, this is just similar, 22-23 fiscal year, and now 23-24, and then 24-25.
Correct. And you see the itemization that this money is allowed to be used for or to replenish as a result of projects, some of which have been done and some have not done. I do want to point to you the capital projects bonding council review flow document that I sent you here, so that we can kind of answer a question about where this is, how it's going. The only thing the council did was approve a capital budget. You did not, this has never been before you. So the flow of information is, one, capital needs identified, departments identify capital needs such as infrastructure, facilities. We do not bond for vehicles, but it's possible equipment, and submit proposed police vehicles, and submit proposed projects with estimated costs. There's a capital budget review. Finance and the Board of Finance review these. This has all been before the Board of Finance. As part of the annual process and recommend a capital program. The The town council adopts the capital budget. So you have adopted a plan, a budgetary plan for these things. These ordinances have never been before you, okay? And then the bond ordinance is prepared by our bond counsel, who has been our bond counsel probably for 25 years. It goes to the Board of Finance for recommendation, which obviously was the case with each of these ordinances, and you receive copies of the recommendation from the Board of Finance based on those ordinances. And the town council is in front of you now to adopt the bond ordinances, which gives us the ability to bond. There has to be a bond offer, there's a process to take the next step. That's where we are now.
And you sent us all the information.
Yeah, I sent you a memo by Roberta, about the flow of capital bonding projects. So I just want to, and I think that answers your question. These things, these ordinances have never been before. Projects, the capital budget plan has.
To Mike's point, we have to have this ordinance approved to be able to bond. Doesn't mean we're going to bond at all. We might bond at all, we might not. But, you have to see what's going on, the interest rates, talk to financial advisors, et cetera, and do the right thing. I mean, you're going to buy a house and get mortgage and pay 20%. So, we have to figure that out. Most people, when you have cash reserves, you're going to try and use your cash because you don't want to incur the interest expenses to the town, to the residents. Now we're at the point where we have to replenish our cash reserves. Bottom line. Any other questions?
Yes, I do. So, when the decision is made whether or not to bond due to the interest rates or whatever the other, whatever reason you would or would not, will we get a report on that?
We certainly, you will. Absolutely.
I would really like to
That's
know.
a pretty straightforward copy of that. So we think we have bond counsel who knows it. We have a bond consultant who decides when to go to market with the best interest rates are, what type of investing is best for us and when. So this is not done by regular non-public finance people. We have experts in this area that are involved. So.
I mean, I think about the other couple millions of dollars that you guys saved by, if you saved what, like $250,000 by investing in the bank.
I'll address that when we get to that.
My point is that this is not willy-nilly. This takes a lot of research and I just wanted to make sure that we find out. I want to know the fruits of our work.
Yeah, I'll explain that when we get to the.
Right, I just wanted to point out that this is not willy-nilly. This is.
I do want to address something else that, and again, I think it's going to answer some of the questions that have been at least attempted to be brought forward. If you look at our bonding authorizations from 2017, fiscal year 2017, total outstanding debt, general obligation, bonds outstanding, $26.5 million prior to this administration. 2018 was 24.4. What happens is bonds expire. So you just can't say 1.5 million, 3 million next year, and then 5 years later it's 1.5 plus 1.5 plus 1.5, because certain things are paid off. You might not have bonded for all of it, and those types of things. Fiscal year 2019, we were at 26.4 million. We inherited $38.8 million in bond authorizations. If you take post-issuance of 21 through 25, which is in front of you, okay, we are now at approximately 38.6 million. All right, so the prior bond authorizations from 17, 18, 19, and 20, which we inherited all of that. Prior administration is 38.8 million. Post-issuance, our authorization from 21 to 25, we're at 38.6. Here's the key point. Even with all 4 years issued everything we're asking you to issue. The town's total bond debt is roughly comparable to to 2020 levels. Not a dramatic departure from recent history. It's a conservative, inherently and intentionally conservative approach. Not by Mayor Dufour, not by me, not by Barb, but by our finance advisors and our bond council. So those are accurate numbers that give you a general idea that we are not simply just piling on. As you get deeper away from the bond, things get paid off. I know Jim consolidated, if you remember, we did the reconstitution and consolidation, took a lot off the books because they sat for some 15 years that we had outstanding bond authorizations for it. They never bonded. So you're not just stacking here. It's not what's happening. I mean, certainly there will be determination made as to whether or not there are going to be issuances of what you're authorizing to replenish cash reserves, which is very common, and that will be a decision made with, that finance will make, along with, the individuals who are advising us.
Any other questions from the council for Barb? Okay, item number 3, please.
To consider an act upon an ordinance entitled, an ordinance making appropriations for various public improvements aggregating $1,944,200 for the 2024-2025 capital budget and authorizing the issuance of $1,944,200 bonds of the town to meet said appropriations and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowing for such purpose.
Any questions from the public, please come up to the microphone, state your name and address. You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
So I have another question.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Please keep it down when the public is speaking, other people are speaking, and show respect for the speaker at the microphone. Thank you.
So we have capital improvements for that year, 24-25, and have they been completed? Did we pay for the things that we thought we needed to do and did or didn't do? And if we did, why would we bond now? You mentioned that you inherited 38.6 in available bonds. I don't think they were all available, that was your total expense. How much of that have you used? Is that part of the $4 million in current GO bonds? Next one's really interesting. I'm really waiting for that one. $21 million in available bonding. Why? If we're paying for our capital improvements as we've gone, using some of the previously approved bonds, why do we need another $21 million to sit there and be used for whatever? You have a bad habit of, we have capital improvements listed, but we're taking that money and we're going to use it someplace else. How many times have we done that? Quite a few. Starting with the air for the pool. I just want to make a point that we don't need to approve $21 million worth of bonding tonight. What do we really need for the rest of this year? Why do we want to leave $21 million? That's like a credit card. You put too much on your credit card, you lose your house. Cities have gone into bankruptcy. Are you working towards that? Not one response. Not one. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in the people I know who are here who really care and yet won't speak up. I don't know why. Why are we afraid of? You should be asking these questions, not me. That's your job.
30 seconds.
Thank you. I'm going to be 78 next week, actually this week. And I'm getting tired of having going to come before this board constantly to bring out questions that the council should be asking. That is their job. Next.
Lorena Venegas, 73 George Street. In 2019, all of you said that you were gung-ho for transparency and accountability. You repeated that in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. The Board of Finance has canceled meetings this year. The cancellation meetings were February 19, March 19, 2025, August 15, 2025, September 16, 2025, no, October 15, 2025.
Could we keep to the issue
December
of
17,
the public hearing,
2025.
if we could?
It is part of the issue because the Board of Finance, as he stated,
Right.
gives guidance and gives instructions for you to approve whatever they think should be approved. But for all of these months, the public, all 31,000 of us, have not had a chance to go to any meetings. That's why I'm asking you to put a hold on this and ask for a true itemization of every single cost. I want to know if in that cost there's vehicles, those police vehicles that were promised, that were ordered by Chief Lennon, that came back to town and were all crashed up. Where are those in here? I need the itemization, and I need you to stop right now. Just place a hold on this, do a true itemization for transparency and accountability.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public would like to speak? Anybody else from the public would like to speak? Anybody else from the public would like to speak? Barb?
I do want to say, and again, to provide additional information to the council, you can see in public hearing number 3, the list of projects that these are associated with. Those will be in the form, they are in the formal ordinance. You cannot switch funding from what's identified in the ordinance to something else. Just cannot happen. We would have to come back to you to reconstitute and change what the itemization is to something else. We've done that before. So that you just cannot, as indicated or at least spoken to, you cannot switch and use money for different things. You have to, it's against the law. You have to use it for what it's identified for in the ordinance.
So, in reference to public hearing number 3, this is for 1.9 million, and approximately 1.2 million of this has been spent. What came before you was the capital, as Mike indicated before. So we're strictly here just asking you to approve the ordinance so we can bond, so we can replenish cash reserves. Spending the money, and years ago, we haven't bonded in several years. So it comes a time when you have to replace your cash reserves. I see no vehicles here. I see a license plate reader. I've seen that on the streets. I think that was purchased.
Just for the record, we do not bond for police cars.
And if something had been changed tonight, we have to come back to. And we can't change things after you approve the capital. We have to still come back to you to get that approved, to get that changed. So, anybody have any questions?
I just wanted to say that too, we haven't bonded for police cars since I've been around.
No, absolutely not.
The previous administration was good for that.
Yeah, the previous administration bought for police cars. We did not buy for police.
For the reason they do, every now and again, end up in accidents, unfortunately. We do the best we can to try and bond for things that have a significant impact. Those are the type of improvements that you try to bond for. You can't be perfect all the time. You try to. But no, police cars. We evaluate the police cars as whether to make them budget line. We look at leasing. I mean, there's a whole bunch of options out there that our chief and assistant chief can try to evaluate, but bonding is not part of it.
I I couldn't imagine what the mill rate would be if we didn't do bonding. Could you imagine spending all this money every year and adding that to the bottom line, trying to generate revenue to offset that?
Any other questions from the council?
Straightforward.
Thank you. Item number 4, public hearing form.
To consider and act upon an ordinance entitled, an ordinance making an appropriation of $11,200,000 for costs associated with a settlement agreement that resolves a judgment resulting from claims brought by certain plaintiffs against the town of East Haven and other defendants regarding the plaintiff's quarry business and authorizing the issuance of $11,200,000 bonds of the town to meet said appropriations and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose.
Questions from the public? Thanks, Donna. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. So, we put $13 million into a surety bond, non-interest bearing, I believe. No, where is it? Hello? No, don't answer. Why would you not answer a simple question?
I will give the information after you make your comment, like we have the last 4 public hearings.
Why would you not have a conversation?
It's not what the public hearing does.
You should have, you can, it has in the past, but you do not want to do that. We put $13 million in the non-interest bearing surety bond to guarantee we had enough money to pay the quarry. The other part of this question is, you got costs in here. Is it costs in addition to the $13 million? Is it the settlement? How much is the legal fees for this fight? Why can you not answer a simple question?
I think the town attorney's going to address the council on your question.
He could answer the question.
Keep going with your
He
question.
could answer the question. The frustration is unbelievable. How much did we spend in legal fees to fight the quarry when it could have been settled when you came in? Who do we work for? Do we work for the attorneys? We spend a lot of money in attorneys. A lot. We have a lot of attorneys. All because we can't answer a question. All because we think we are above the people you rule. Oh, you do rule us. Yeah, I am a little bit agitated. Can't imagine why. Anybody else agree with me? You think maybe conversation, communication is a good thing? Or do we want to just stand around? Or do we want to just say yes to anything they offer you? Because as I sit here 90% of the time, there are no questions from the council. You're here to question. You're here to protect the citizens of this city. Do your job.
Anybody else from the public like to speak? Please come up to the microphone, state your name and address. 3 minutes.
Lorena Venegas, 73 George Street. I am the only resident in the entire town of East Haven that has followed the case of one Barberry. Who laughed? Did you laugh, Cindy? You laughed?
This is an engagement with the council.
Okay, she's reacting to what I'm saying, so that's really odd behavior.
Let's just keep, let's keep your comments focused. Don't waste your time. You have a lot to say. Go ahead.
So part of the quarry issue is that there were multiple lawsuits, right? So you had the issue with the plaintiff, but you also had 2 separate lawsuits which were about the self-insurance. And Michael Buzzi has a responsibility right now tonight to explain everything about the self-insurance. He also needs to answer for the fact that he did not comply with multiple freedom of information requests for the legal expenses about this lawsuit. you have not submitted anything to the public on the legal fees of this case. And this amount, 11.2, doesn't include those legal fees. We need an itemization of all legal fees. We also need some repair work. I mean, on this, when you guys came in as an administration, you knew that the self-insurance was already bogus, because Joe Zullo could have told you that. And he should be here tonight. And if you're related to him, make sure he comes to the next meeting. As far as the Texas money, the judge told the attorney's team that you have to present collateral to cover the settlement payment of $13.5. And in that evidence, every single building structure in our town, DC Moore, all the public schools, everything was itemized. And the law lawyers had to show the judge that we would cover with collateral the cost of the settlement. But instead of using that collateral, because, who wants to do that to a town and rob all the buildings? He said that we had in the fund $13.5 million and that would be transferred to a Texas bank. So I went to one Board of Finance meeting and I just learned that account is open in Texas. I don't know what bank. I want to know the account number and I want to know the name of the bank tonight. I want to know the date that it was opened. I want to know the date that it's closed. I want confirmation that Michael Leslie was the only one who had a signature in and out, because that's already on the public record. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Come to the mic, state your name and address, please. Thank you.
Cindy Spirago, 42 Caroline Road. Just a couple of questions which I know you can answer, but I'd like to get clarification on which administration was in control during the quarry issues, and who was the town attorney when the quarry was before the ZBA and the Planning and Zoning Commission. And then I just want to say it's real clear people who have lived in this town all of their lives, because for anyone who has lived in other towns, I can speak to all the other places I lived. Your process for a public hearing is exactly what other towns do. It is also exactly what goes on at Capitol Hill at Hartford. People can get up and people can speak, but it is not a two-way conversation. So kudos to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public like to speak? Anybody else from the public like to speak? Anybody else from the public? Barb, come forward.
Actually, this is what I'm going to handle.
Okay, Mike?
Just for the record, I was not a signatory on the account. That was the finance director, right? And the background here, I provided you a judgment settlement memo dated today, or yesterday, I'm sorry. The issue of this settlement was Judge ruled against the town of East Haven for roughly $9.3 million. As a result of that judgment, there was pre-judgment interest, and then there was post-judgment interest, which was accruing at about $40,000 a month. We appeal. In order to appeal in federal court, you have to post or provide a surety appeal bond. We went to bond counsel, we spoke with bond consultants, and what came back was that we would have to incur probably about $150,000 a year annually for that bond that they would, secure the judgment, because you just can't, appeal without having any skin in the game. So at that point, we met with bond, like I said, bond consultants, and it was about $150,000 a year that would cost to post a surety appeal bond. In addition to that, which we found kind of strange, they wanted cash collateral. We tried to negotiate away from the cash collateral, so we were going to spend $150,000 on a bond, the cost of it associated with the bond, and in addition to have to post, $13.2 million. And the $13.2 million, I should have said earlier, is the pre-judgment interest plus the judgment, plus the accrual of about $40,000 in post-judgment interest. So it was roughly $13.5, $13.2 million. So we made a number of attempts, and this is again what the plaintiff will accept. There was a negotiation between us as defendants and plaintiff's counsel. They, for a very long period of time, would accept nothing less than surety bond. And we were going to the judge, we were going actually to the magistrate and saying, we really don't want to incur the cost if we don't have to. So everyone agreed that since we had to put up the cash collateral, why wouldn't we put it in an investment account, an interest-bearing investment account? There were 7 accounts that were available for us to put this money in. Jim Keeley selected one. And I don't know whether it was JP Morgan or Goldman Investment. We went to the Board of Finance with it. So that money was deposited and accepted. There's affidavits in front of the court, in federal court, Judge Nagala accepted it, signed off on, in an order of the court. That money was transferred into this investment account. I have no idea, where it was administrated out of. It may have been Texas, I don't know. It had nothing to do with the insurability of the money. The money was protected. That deposit, $13.5 million, earned interest from the day it went in until it was withdrawn. The settlement actually was, over the course of that period of time, we negotiated the settlement. One of the things, and what happened when we put the $13.5 million into that account, we went to the Board of Finance, and Rich, you were at the Board of Finance, we explained to them why we were doing it, and the costs that we were going to avoid. Then it was recommended that it comes to the council. We did an ordinance. There was a public hearing. That ordinance established that we were going to use the cash from this account to settle the case, and then we were going to bond later to replenish the cash. So in the minutes, Mr. Keeley explained it, and the ordinance obviously speaks for itself. And the ordinance, we felt we didn't have to seek that authorization, but to make the judge and the plaintiff feel more comfortable, we agreed to go through our appropriation process, Board of Finance, and then, of course, the ordinance process here. So $13.5 million was in the account from August until March, right? From August until March. It accrued interest. I don't know at what rate, but I do know it was approximately $225,000. So as we negotiated the settlement of this case, which ultimately was $11 million, when the settlement agreement was reached, I think we reached actually the dollar amount in January. We didn't actually come up with the language for the agreement all the way until the end of February, which was then ratified by the judge. After we came up with the settlement agreement and it was ratified by the judge, we had 2 weeks to make payment. Mr. Keeley saw withdrawal of money back to the town. The $13.5 million came back, plus the approximately $225,000 in interest. That was right. So it was not a non-interest-bearing account. We earned over $200,000 on the money. $11 million was then wired to the plaintiff's counsel as trustee for the settlement case, and the case was over. We're now here before you today so that we can bond and spread this debt over a long, 20-year period as a judgment, to support the judgment. The cash will then go back into reserves, which was the intent all along. So that's why we're here. This is really mine, more than the actual.
That's just to
Any questions from the council? Go ahead, Ian.
So,
Excuse me?
Why would you take out a loan?
Can we watch the language, please?
Why would you take out a loan if you have the money? So we can pay interest on a loan for the next 20 years?
If you want to speak, you had an opportunity to speak.
Yeah, that's just stupid. Then he comes up with that.
You had an opportunity to speak.
You don't have information.
I'll ask you to quiet, please. This is a public hearing. This is not a zoo. We don't swear. Thank you. Ann, you had a question?
Yeah, so just to clarify, because I know that I was not on council when this took place, but Donna said it could have been settled when we came in. So then explain, like, the court issue came up, but how did that?
Yeah, at no point were we in a position to settle the case for, that was prior to us. There were a couple opportunities that in the defense of the prior administration, there really wasn't a real clear opportunity that was, there was always kind of a moving, shelving kind of, that there were opportunities, and I think that we might have jumped on them had we been in that situation. They did not. But then, some of the opportunities to settle Mr. Patton were presented and then removed a week later. So, for lack of a better term, therefore, it really was like sometimes they stick with jelly before, jelly before. You just couldn't pin them down. I'll settle for this, you agree to that, and then it was a good week later. So it was somewhat difficult to kind of nail it down. But to talk about attorney's fees related to this goes all the way back to 2015. When we got here, neither of the insurance companies had been put on notice. I shouldn't say that. One had been denied coverage. That denial was not challenged. When you read the denial, they really pointed to the basis of the denial was not us, the other policy group. So we then put notice for the insurance company that was, for that policy group. So now we have the declaratory action, which is still pending, to determine, which company is responsible. So the attorney fees go back all the way to 2015. We strongly believe, and I think we've talked about this before, that our strongest situation in the declaratory judgment is the cost of defense. You might not pay a judgment in an insurance situation, but we do have a policy that we believe cost of defense. So we're hoping to recoup a significant amount. We're cautiously optimistic that that's an opportunity to recoup a great number of amount of the attorney's fees. Whether or not we'll be able to recover the entire amount of the actual judgment, I think that's less certain, but we think we have strong arguments for that as well. I will say this: there's no town in 169 that would pay cash. I take that back. There may be a Greenwich or a Fairfield County, although they just bonded a significant judgment on a police case. That would pay cash. That would deplete your cash this much to pay this. This is a standard judgment bond. This is how you pay judgments, and it's a procedure that was not vetted by just Mike Muzzy, beyond me, but some very good lawyers, Wigan and Dana, obviously Coleman. This is the route to go. This is not stupid. We are not stupid. I am not a plumber, but I am also a lawyer that knows what he knows. And when I don't know, I go to people who do. So we sought the advice of some significant counsel. Point is, I know what I know and I know what I don't. So we have, engaged the right people to give us the advice to make sure we're taking the right steps. This is absolutely sound principle. I give Jim Keeley a tremendous amount of credit. You picked the right account. This was an interest-bearing account. I should say that when we paid the $11 million, the 13.5, we got 2.5 was returned to us as well. And obviously, the approximate $200,000 in interest as well. So we received $2.7 million back. That went back into our cash reserves, into the accounts from where it came, which obviously went in bond here as well. The reason we're at $11.2 million for the cost, even though the settlement was $11 million, is the $200,000 are the costs associated with the administrative costs and legal fees for bond counsel with respect to the bonding. It has nothing to do with attorney's fees with respect to the case.
Any other questions from the council? Go ahead.
So he's still holding out hope that the insurance company will return our money, or at least some of it.
Yeah. So again, I think our strongest argument in that case, and it's all public now because the briefs have been filed, is the cost of defense. And we believe one of these companies should have been cost of defense all the way back to 2015. So, that money, we're hoping that we're close to that, that's our strongest argument. There's also, we've tried to negotiate with these insurance companies to say, you might lose the whole thing, you might lose the whole thing, let's get together and everybody kind of throw a little bit in. We haven't had much success with that. We're evaluating whether to have to go to arbitration, so those discussions continue. But again, I think the strongest argument we have is the cost of defense, which would be not only legal fees, but would be also our experts. We had a quarter expert out of Colorado in this case, which came on board when we took over. So would be all our experts as well, and all our costs.
All set. Okay. Item public hearing 5.
Consider and act upon an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending and restating an ordinance entitled, an ordinance making appropriations for various public improvements aggregating $2,575,000 for the 2021 capital budget and authorizing the issuance of $2,575,000 bonds of the town to meet said appropriations and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose, to specify the projects to be financed and to increase the appropriation and bond authorization by $100,000 for financing costs, increasing the total appropriations and bond authorization from $2,575,000 to $2,675,000.
Any questions from the public?
So now we're looking at 2021 capital improvements. Next come up 21, 22 capital improvements. You know, they've either been done or they're not done. They've been paid for or they're not paid for. To bond just to have money or the access to money is foolish. I won't say stupid. I'll say foolish. And Jeff had a point. If you have 13 million, you had to pay out 11 million, you got 2.5 back. Why incur the interest expense? Learn to live within your budget. Another thing I'd like to say is, we're looking at bonding from 2021 to 2025. Why? If we've already done the capital and it's paid for, why? We got $8 million for solar panels that got bonded. It's a lease. We don't own them. But we continue to bond. We continue to put the burden of debt on the taxpayers. It's not a good thing. I think you need to consider seriously, okay, all of the bonding. I don't think you should approve all of the bonding. Perhaps you need to approve some. Maybe the capital improvements that are coming up, not the capital improvements from years back, that should have already been done and would have been paid for, because I don't know anybody that's going to do a job and wait 5 years to get paid. So I don't think all these bonds are necessary. So think about that. Think hard. Think about your taxes. We're looking to bond stuff that has already happened, just so there can be a credit card. Really, that's what it is. It's a credit card. I need money, I'll go use credit card. Poor planning. Poor fiscal management. We're almost done. I'm so glad you're expounding on things. There's a lot of good information that's coming out. Some of it's not entirely correct, but that's okay.
Any other questions from the public?
Lorena Venegas, and I live at 73 George Street. So the year 2020 to 2021 was our COVID year. So we had a skeletal everything, but we had heightened use of certain departments. So of course, as a public person, we deserve to know the total itemization for the total listed here, the 2.675. And then we also need to know from Barbara tonight to list out all the capital budget for 2020, 2021. Thank you. Go for it, Barbara. You can do it. I believe in you.
Anybody else from the public want to speak? Please come up, state your name and address. You have 3 minutes.
I guess so. Jeff Lendro, 320 Tyler Street. You feel like a big man trying to come after my occupation? At no point in time have I ever attacked anyone here on their occupation. Hope you feel like a big man now, okay? Secondly, I know what this is all about, right? You guys increased the freaking budget $22 million in 6 years, and you can't afford it. That's what this is about. It just so happens you're trying to bond almost $22 million. Some of you sitting out there with smirks on your face the entire night, laughing at people. This is exactly what Lorena complains about all the time. You came after my profession. They go after her constantly. You guys are nothing but a bunch of bullies. This is what we ran on, right, during the election. Get your act together, cut it out, act like a bunch of adults, and be transparent about stuff.
Anybody else from the public like to speak? Anybody else from the public like to speak? Anybody else from the public like to speak? Barb, would you like to come up and then the council can?
So, this 2.675, all of it's in spent, and we use cash reserves. So, you know,
You just speak into the mic there. Besides, just talk closer. There you go. That should work now.
can you hear me now?
Yes. Very nicely.
Okay, thank you. So, 2.6 has already been spent via cash reserves. The municipalities do not borrow necessarily every year to spend money. The capital is a separate budget compared to the general fund. Again, you have a job, you earn money, you turn around and need to repair your roof, and you go to $20,000 in your savings account, you have $10,000 left, what do you do? If something else breaks, do you have to go to your bank and borrow money? What do you do? So basically, this particular, tonight, only asking to increase the ordinance that was already approved to bond $500,000 of financing costs because they were not included. That's it. So this was not bonded for yet, even though it was approved. Because the town saved money because it had the cash. Now, over time, this will incur an expense. Debt service will increase. So,
Any questions from the council? Questions from the council? Straightforward. Okay. Public hearing number 6, please.
To consider and act upon an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending and restating an ordinance entitled, an ordinance making appropriations for various public improvements aggregating $985,134 for the 2021-2022 capital budget and authorizing the issuance of $985,134 bonds of the town to meet said appropriations and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose, to specify the projects to be financed and to increase the appropriation and bond authorization by $75,000 for financing costs, increasing the town appropriation and bond authorization from $985,134 to $1,060,134.
Any questions from the public? 3 minutes, state your name and address.
It's been informative.
And I think I just heard Barbara say that it was previously approved, but that's okay. Again, 2021 capital budget paid for just to build your reserve. What is the reserve? Does anybody know? Up until this administration took over, I would get monthly a list of all the accounts and their balances. Don't get that anymore.
I believe that stopped just a few issue with Munis?
2015, has nothing to do with Munis. Okay, I haven't been getting that.
Isn't that for by rolling of operation?
Okay? So I have no way of knowing what your cash balances are in any particular account. I think there were 7 accounts maybe. I don't know how many I have now. You ought to know, don't look at me like that. At any rate, fund balance is what you call it. Chuckle. They do chuckle. At any rate, capital improvements have been done and paid for. No reason to do and reauthorization of the bond, other than the municipal authority has sent you a little notice saying your financial reports are missing. So that's the real issue, I think, why we're here to reauthorize these bonds. Again, I would urge the council not to fully authorize all of these bonds. Certainly nothing from 21, 22, or 23, because they had enough money in previously authorized bonds unused by the previous administration to actually have funded all of this stuff. Not easy to get all the financial information or learn how to figure out what all the financial information means for the average person. I understand that. As someone who worked in finance for many, many years, I do understand them. And I do know that we are headed down a very dark hole. Do your job, do your research. If you don't know, ask someone who does.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public?
So again, it's very simple. What's your name, Mariano? We have household budgets, right? We have children that we pay clothes for, and toys, and PS5s, and bikes, and skateboards. We paid for that. Way back in 2021, 2022. We already paid for it. So why are you going to take out a future debt on your own children for things that you already paid for? The PS5 gets destroyed, the skateboard gets used, the bike gets stolen. I know the kid. Why would you want to do that to our town? Don't do it. Hold off. Learn more. Ask questions. Itemize everything. Because as a public person, we weren't allowed to go to any meetings this year because they were all canceled. And guess who is the chairman of Board of Finance? It's Mayor Joseph Carfora, and he's totally missing tonight. Why is he not here? He's going to put us in all this debt, and he's not here, and he's the chairman? That's actually his job under the charter, to take care of our finances for our town. It's the critical #1 job. Stop taking pictures with children. Start paying attention to the money. None of you go to any of the finance meetings when there is one. And the meeting minutes from the finance are very poorly written. Not all the meetings are recorded. So only that secretary has access to it. I definitely want you're a new person here. So is Vincent. We need to plead with you because you are the people who have children in town. You want to pass your house to your kid? Guess how much his taxes are going to be in 5 years and 10 years in the next revaluation with all these debts. And with our town not being capable of doing an airport deal with Tweed Airport Authority or Airport or whoever's in the chair. Mayor Carfora failed at that too. I told him that in the year 2020 and 2021. He didn't listen to me. I went to the Economic Development Commission. They didn't listen to me either. When I said, hey, you want East Haven to be vibrant? You want an airport deal? Do it. Do it right. You want to be Elizabeth, New Jersey, in the next regional airport? Do it right. He was not there.
Can we stay on the subject of
It's the same
public
here.
hearing 6?
It's a missed opportunity.
You're wasting your time. Why don't you talk about the public hearing 6? I appreciate
I already
that.
said, I'm explaining it. See, somebody who has children and who has land in these houses, this is their future debt. If you do not have children,
you do not understand my perspective. If you do not own a house because you smooched it off your father, you do not understand my perspective. Do not interrupt me when I'm speaking on facts.
Let's keep it to public hearing 6, please. Thank you.
I do need Barbara, as I've said, for public hearing 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, to fully itemize and for you to hold all this until the public has true transparency. We need to see each itemization, each year, each capital, and as I've mentioned in the 5 previous hearings, each fund balance for the years. The audits are not going to match up with
I
what
gave you
you
an
have.
extra 10 seconds. Thank you. Any other comments from the public, please? Any other comments from the public? Come up, state your name and address. Thank you.
This is a comment, sir.
Yes, you have 3 minutes. State your name and address.
City Anchor, 46 Wood Terrace. I've been questioned before about not attending any meetings as far as councils. And I said, well, I'm not an elected official, so a person that could attend a meeting. If I want to come here as a public, because you have the public sit here and say something. Okay? I just, as an observer, I gotta say one thing. As far as the public coming here with some questions, there should be answers. You come up with legit questions, there should be an answer. Everybody just sits here, the council people, supposed to be representing their district people that work hard, pay taxes, with 2 jobs. And from what I just saw, what I observed, was the fact money's being spent, more debt, and who's going to pay for that? I think it's very unprofessional, no transparency, and show up and change yourselves.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? Anybody else from the public? Anyone else from the public? Barbara, would you like to come up and address public hearing 6?
This is basically the same as number 5, and this is just for public hearing number 6. This is to restate and amend the ordinance to include financing costs. All right? At the time, this was not bonded for. The town could have bonded back then, incurred the cost, and incurred more debt back then, and they didn't. Now we have to replenish cash reserves because we use money that we had on the side, like you regular savings account. You put money aside, you don't spend it, you build it up, and then you spend it, and then you have to replenish it. Does anybody have any costs? I mean, any questions?
Questions from the council? Karen?
It's customary.
It's not changing anything other than just the administrative costs were maybe should be, again, for bond counsel, for financing, underwriting administrative costs.
Thank you.
I move that the hearing committee of the East Haven Town Council recommend to the full council adoption of the aforementioned ordinance and to adjourn the public hearing portion.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second. Okay, public hearing is closed at 8:11 p.m. So we're going to take a quick 5-minute break and we'll commence with our regular town council meeting at 8:16.
East Haven Town Council will hold its regular meeting Tuesday, January 6th at 7:30 p.m. or immediately following certain public hearings. If any at the East Haven Community Center, 91 Taylor Avenue, East Haven, Connecticut, in order to transact the following business. May I have a roll call, please?
Ann Pennington. Here. Oriana Santiago. Here. Alphonse Cameron. Here.
Can we please keep it down, please, during the meeting? Thank you, I appreciate it.
Joseph Decker. Here. Joseph Santino. Marianne Caesar. Here. Louis Pacelli.
Here.
Joseph McCollum.
Here.
Michael Janetti.
Here.
Tina Hedley. Richard Esposito.
Here.
Albert Milano. Here. Michael Monte.
Here.
Joseph Dickinson.
Here.
12 present, not recorded.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody, and Happy New Year. We're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Okay, so I just need, item number 1, I need a motion to approve the minutes, please. Second.
Oh, second, sorry.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay. Okay, so item number 2, whether we have some correspondence you'd like to read, please? Please. Could we please keep it down, because she's reading correspondence. Thank you, I appreciate your respect. Thank you.
This is addressed to Mayor Joseph Carpora and the members of the town council regarding the veterans' property tax exemption for veterans who have been rated totally disabled based on individual unemployment. Dear Mayor Carpora and town council members, we would like to thank you for taking the time to consider and ultimately vote to expand the town of East Haven veterans' property tax exemption to include TDIU, veterans, and certain surviving spouses. We sincerely believe you graciously righted a terrible injustice. When Paul and I purchased our condo on September 27, 2024, we made careful financial calculations concerning the purchase price and subsequent mortgage amount with the understanding our budget would no longer need to include real estate taxes based on the original language in PA 24-46, which I believe I did not include the term 100% disabled. Please refer to Substitute House Bill number 5491, Public Act number 24-46, approved May 21st, 2024. When Paul was rated for his disabilities in 2015, he was given a 70% PTSD with major depressive order rating, maximum allowed short of being homeless. In addition to 60% heart disease rating, a total of 130%. Regrettably, based on the VA formula that is used to compute multiple disabilities, the 70 plus 60 was commuted to 90. However, Paul was also forced to retire early due to his PTSD. However, and a major depressive order. He was then rightfully afforded the status and full benefit of 100% disabled veteran who was totally and permanently disabled based on the clarification of individual unemployment. Unfortunately, when Paul and I visited the tax assessor's office to question the real estate tax bill we received for 2024 grand list, we were devastatingly informed that when HB 7067 was passed, the legislature chose to ignore the original PA-24-46 language that did not require 100% disability and ultimately decided to exclude those veterans who were totally and permanently disabled based on individual unemployment. Shockingly, I discovered it was the Connecticut State VA representative who advised the legislature to exclude the TDIU veterans in this exemption. Instead of advocating for all veterans, as his position would suggest, the advice of this Connecticut State VA representative can only be characterized as shameful and insensitive. We happened to meet Mayor Kafora during this same town visit. He
He overheard us discussing our disappointment and interjected that he would investigate the matter and get back to us. And yes, he called me back himself to let me know that he would be looking further into the issue. It should be noted that additionally, I made several phone calls to Representative Joseph Cirillo's office in Hartford seeking his help. I both spoke with his assistant and left multiple messages with absolutely no promise to return call. I also contacted Senator Christine Cohen in Hartford office multiple times. I did speak with her assistant who responded to my emails offering legislative information. Although I requested a face-to-face meeting with Senator Cohen, that never materialized. I complained loudly to Sue Morrow in the assessor's office about the disparity in the law and the effect it has on veterans who in every bit 100% disabled. As one who was afforded the 100% disability distinction, Sue was most sympathetic, informative, and patient with us. She informed us that the legislature ultimately agreed to amend the tax exemption law to include TDIU veterans in the 2025 grand list exemption. However, the amendment law further directed that each town may individually be eligible to deny such inclusion of TDIU veterans in their own grand list exemption. The fact that the amendment afforded individual towns the option to deny these veterans as entitled to the same exemption benefit, regardless of what the town of residence is what the individual town's financial circumstances are. So we agreed to raise our concerns and bring our issue directly to the assessor to see if the town of East Haven would be willing to include TDIU veterans in the 2025 exemption. We began to feel hopeful. Not to my delight, when in early December 2025, I received a call directly from Sue to inform me that yes, the East Haven Town Council held a hearing that resulted in the TDIU veterans being included in the full tax exemption effective with the October 1st, 2025 grand list, foregoing the town of East Haven's option to exclude us. I thank you for the best Christmas Hanukkah present we could have received. It was evident Sue was invested in the outcome as we are. In conclusion, we reiterate our sincere gratitude for all that the town of East Haven is doing for us, including the willingness to honor all totally and permanently disabled veterans by affording them equal status and benefits. We especially appreciate Erica Bohr, along with Sue Morrow, for taking personal interest in our play. We cannot tell you what a pleasure it is to have such a kind and helpful resource available to us at the town of East Haven. Very truly yours, Gerald Dean Rosenberg, and Paul Rosenberg.
Thanks for kudos to the mayor and the council for taking care of that. So we're going to move on to any more of those ones? Item number 3, we have subcommittee reports. So let's keep it to the bullet points. If you have an extended report, you can send that to Bert. So we'll start out with education, library, and school building.
Hi. So I just emailed, Sarah earlier today. I just asked her, because I saw some stuff on Facebook. So she said, thank you for reaching out. Happy New Year. Renovations at the library are moving along steadily. It's been wonderful to see the space not only being repaired, but also being thoughtfully updated for our community. We are currently holding off on announcing a grand reopening date until it's fully finalized. As with any major construction project, there is always the possibility of unexpected delays, and we would want to be sure the information we provided is accurate and reliable. That said, I expect we'll be able to share more details soon. I hope you and all the other town council members will consider attending the grand reopening. We'd love to have you there. If you have any questions, concerns, please reach out to her. And she just wanted to thank all the community partners for stepping in and securing space that wasn't there. So it looks really promising that it's never seen.
Thank you. Anything else?
Public safety. So there's been several things going installing speed control devices, aka speed humps, bumps, and cables, installed on the north end of East Haven with the promise of many more to come. This is only phase one. This has led to many emails from the police commission for additional devices throughout East Haven. Many people want more throughout their neighborhoods, which is understandable because speeding in our neighborhoods is just crazy, and people not stopping at stop signs, running around. So, yeah, people are asking for those, more and more of those. Forbes Place and Kimberly Avenue intersection has been upgraded, including those speed bumps on 2 different locations of Forbes Place, but also the closing of Kimberly Avenue of Forbes Place to the west as of December 10th. This plan was reviewed by the plan will be reviewed by engineers to determine the efficiency and efficacy going forward. There's currently 1 detective vacancy, 1 officer on light duty, so the service testing will be scheduled for a detective status. Overtime up approximately $34,000 compared to the same pay period last fiscal year. However, the increase was anticipated within expected projections. East Haven Police Department was involved in community events in December, Wreaths Across America on December 12th, Office Club Cruiser on December 12th, and the 3rd annual charity hockey game between the New Haven Police Department on December 27th and the New Haven Police Department on December 27th. East Haven lost 5-0. I have a list of all of those many things that they were calls for. There were just the same 1,990 calls this past month, or I'm sorry, between October 22nd and November 21st. As far as the fire department goes, they had a short meeting in November, and at that time, firefighter Adam Ordway was promoted to the rank of battalion chief. Thank you to the firefighters and the police department for everything you did for us.
Finance, Public Services, Parks and Recreation. Okay. Urban Renewal Housing. Blake.
There's a few items, just mostly bullet points from Chuck. Mostly same old. There's one property that's been on the list for quite a long time. Supposedly there's a eviction date of February 2nd. Hopefully that issue gets resolved, but I forwarded a copy to this. There's too many bullets to list, but nothing really outstanding on here, just day-to-day stuff.
Thank you guys for your reports. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 4.
Be it resolved, the ordinance making appropriations for various public improvements aggregating $1,520,191 for the 2022-2023 capital budget and authorize the issuance of $1,520,191 bonds of the town to meet said appropriations and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose.
May I have a roll call vote, please? On the motion.
Motion.
Second. Second. We have a roll call vote, please?
Ann Pennington? Yes. Mariano Santiago?
Yes.
Alphonse Cameron?
Yes.
Karen Martin?
Yes.
Mary Ann Caesar? Yes. Louis Pacelli?
Yes.
Joseph McCall?
Yes.
Michael Genetti?
Yes.
Richard Esposito?
Yes.
Albert Valano?
Yes.
Michael Monty?
Yes.
Joseph Kikisek?
Yes.
All in favor? Motion carried.
Item number 5, please.
Be it resolved, the ordinance making appropriations for various public improvements aggregating $3,330,321 for the 2023-2024 capital budget and authorizing the issuance of $3,330,321 bonds of the town to meet said appropriations and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. A roll call vote, please?
Ann Pennington? Yes. Mariano Santiago?
Yes.
Alphonse Cameron?
Yes.
Karen Martin? Yes. Mary Ann Caesar? Yes. Louis Pacelli?
Yes.
Joseph McCall?
Yes.
Michael Genetti?
Yes.
be resolved, and the ordinance making appropriations for various public improvements aggregating $1,944,200 for the 2024-2025 capital budget and authorizing the issuance of $1,944,200 bonds of the town to meet said appropriations and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second? Roll call vote, please.
Ann Pennington? Yes. Mariano Santiago?
Yes.
Alphonse Camera?
Yes.
Karen Martin? Yes. Marion Caesar?
Yes.
Louis Pasella?
Yes.
Joseph Picard?
Yes.
Michael Genetti?
Yes.
Richard Esposito?
Yes.
Albert Milano?
Yes.
Michael Monte?
Yes.
Joseph Dickinson?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion carries. Item number 7, please.
Be it resolved, an ordinance making an appropriation of $11,200,000 for costs associated with settlement agreements that resolves a judgment resulting from claims brought by certain plaintiffs against the town of East Haven and other defendants regarding the plaintiff's quarry business and authorizing the issuance of $11,200,000 bonds of the town to meet said appropriations and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Second? Roll call vote, please, Roberta.
Ann Pennington? Yes. Mariano Santiago?
Yes.
Alphonse Camera?
Yes.
Karen Martin? Yes. Marion Caesar?
Yes.
Louis Pasella?
Yes.
Joseph Picard?
Yes.
Michael Genetti?
Yes.
Richard Esposito?
Yes.
Albert Milano?
Yes.
Michael Monte?
Yes.
Joseph Dickinson?
Yes.
All in favor? Motion carries.
Motion carries. Item number 8, please.
Be it resolved, an ordinance amending and restating an ordinance entitled, an ordinance making appropriations for various public improvements aggregating $2,575,000 for the 2020-2021 capital budget and authorizing the issuance of $2,575,000 bonds of the town to meet said appropriations and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose, to specify the projects to be financed and to increase the appropriation and bond authorization by $100,000 for financing costs, increasing the total appropriation and bond authorization from $2,575,000 to $2,675,000.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
That was Mike. Second by Mike and Ian. Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Ann Pennington? Yes. Mariano Santiago?
Yes.
Alphonse Camera?
Yes.
Karen Martin? Yes. Marion Caesar? Yes. Louis Pasella?
Yes.
Joseph Picard?
Yes.
Michael Genetti?
Yes.
Richard Esposito?
Yes.
Albert Milano?
Yes.
Michael Monte?
Yes.
Joseph Dickinson?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item number 9, please.
Be it resolved, an ordinance amending and restating an ordinance entitled, an ordinance making appropriations for various public improvements aggregating $985,134 for the 2021-2022 capital budget and authorizing the issuance of $985,134 bonds of the town to meet said appropriations and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose, to specify the projects to be financed and to increase the appropriation and bond authorization by $75,000 for financing costs, increasing the total appropriation and bond authorization from $985,134 to $1,060,134.
Motion.
So moved.
Second? Second. You got that? Roll call vote, please.
Ann Pennington? Yes. Mariano Santiago?
Yes.
Alphonse Camera?
Yes.
Karen Martin? Yes. Marion Caesar?
Yes.
Louis Pasella?
Yes.
Joseph Picard?
Yes.
Michael Genetti?
Yes.
Richard Esposito?
Yes.
Albert Milano?
Yes.
Michael Monte?
Yes.
Joseph Dickinson?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion passes. Okay, before we adjourn, just have something really good for the council. Last month or so, I've spoken with a couple of members on the council, and I've spoken with our legal attorney, Buzzy. With some concerns We're public servants, we all do a great job, but we all have personal lives. And then we have a procedure of how we're supposed to be contacted. A few of us have been contacted on our personal phone numbers. A few of us have been contacted at inappropriate hours, 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, with just unrelenting texts. We decided to clarify that for the council members and the public. We want to serve the public to the best of our ability, and that's what we do. But again, there's a procedure and a process of how to contact us, and I'm going to let Attorney Lizzie speak to that for about 2 minutes, and then we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Very good meeting under some difficult circumstances. Thank you. Members of this council are volunteers. They serve their community while balancing full-time employment, family obligations, and personal responsibilities. Recently, council members have been contacted directly on personal cell phones, after hours, on weekends regarding town business. While public engagement is important and often encouraged, direct after-hours contact with individual council members is not appropriate. The town has clear and accessible channels of communication, including town clerk, town departments, and the public comment process at council meetings. There are avenues to ensure matters are addressed on the record with the involvement of the full body and the appropriate staff. Going forward, some council members may choose to respond to these texts and phone calls, but have every right not to respond to individuals and after-hours communications. Members of the public are encouraged, one, to respect the personal privacy of members, use the established process designed for that purpose, use common courtesies. This is not about limiting speech, it's about maintaining professional boundaries and respecting the volunteer service of this council. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Luzzi. Thank you, everyone, for attending the meeting. I have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.